Welcome to This Is Life podcast. Appreciate you being here. We are going to be talking about the wheel was not broken and how pretty much we're in the same boat as we were before with just a slight variation. And we're going to get into the political aspects. We'll talk about Game of Thrones, the whole series. But I want to focus in on this and kind of get into it and kind of the flaws and the huge mistakes that they made. And it's going to be quite epic. We'll see how far it goes, how long we talk. Appreciate it. Please pop the subscription, and we'll kind of get into it. So, spoilers, of course, Season 8. Everyone's watched it. If you haven't seen the season finale, series finale, then obviously you are a little bit, you're not quite there. Actually, you might want to save it and don't watch it because it was garbage. So let's kind of get into it and why I think the wheel was not broken. And this was the whole kind of point from the very beginning, right? They kind of set Khaleesi up. She's going to break the wheel. The imp, he believed it as well. And many people who followed her, even Jon, breaking the wheel. You kind of see that with kind of the main characters, right? Everyone was against Cersei. She was part of the wheel. And we're going to now break it. And how really at the very end it really showed, and I'm going to kind of get into it, wheel was not broken. I would say it was maybe cracked just a little. Now, what am I saying here? So, the last kind of scene with all the kind of lords of Westeros, they kind of got together. We saw them getting together, trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to kill Jon. What should happen? Or should the Unsullied take him, kill him, et cetera, et cetera? And they kind of got into it, right? Of course, Samwise was like, what about a democracy? And they laughed at him, of course. And so they were going to then choose, right? They were going to choose. This is Tyrion's great, I guess, his brain thinking the best he could, which is kind of pathetic. So he was like, well, let's kill Khaleesi because she's just going to bring pain and suffering. And, she's not going to break the wheel. I'll get into that, how I think she would have. And let's just bring in this new thing. We'll all vote and elect a new king. But it's not really an election. It's an I would say it's an oligarchy kingship. Is that even a thing? But it is. It's an oligarchy. So if you don't know what an oligarchy is, it's pretty much a ruling class, a small ruling class. So you could have, a number of important people. So in this example, they're all lords, right? The lords get together, but then they vote on some other lord, right? They're not going to vote a peasant in. We already know that. They're going to vote some other lord in. So it's an oligarchy kingship. And honestly, history proves, and you can look at this, oligarchies don't work. Are they better than kings or tyrants? Kings can be, a lot of times can be tyrants, but there can be good kings as well. It would be hard to even know. I would say maybe slightly better. But the problem here's what it is. This is what Game of Thrones was trying to. This is their great example, the greatest story ever told. The imp. Honestly, the imp was I think he's one of the biggest fools, and we'll get into that. And mainly because of so you're gonna have the lords of Westeros, right? There's 6 kingdoms. Now, I guess 7. Does the Starks, does Sansa, does she get the vote? If she's an independent nation, I guess so. Anyway, so 7 kingdoms vote on people. So it's still 7 lords, right? That rule over their peasants, right? I mean, is it just we're supposed to believe that all those 7 lords aren't going to kill their own people? That there won't be rebellions in their own lands, that there won't be civil wars. I mean, it had been happening, right? They're just going to be peace-loving lords, and then they have the wisdom to elect a new king. You see, the problem is it's an elite oligarchy, right? Oligarchy voting for a king who's still a king and still has power, and who says the new king won't be a tyrant. So Bran will die, and honestly, I think he's going to be... we can get into it. I don't think he's actually a good king. He would be a good ruler. Just because you're wise and all-knowing and know things doesn't make you actually a good king, good ruler. Wisdom, I mean, we can see this in history. You can be the smartest person in the room, but really dumb. You don't know how to work with people. You don't know how to rule. You don't know how to govern. So many examples in history. I mean, just open up a history book. Do I need to mention? I mean, I don't want to get into political right, left, all that stuff. But you can look, just because you have wisdom doesn't make you a good ruler. Even the wisest person of them all, I guess, if Solomon, right? If you believe in he was a historical person in the Bible, whether you believe in the Bible or not, but just because he was the wisest person ever didn't make him always a good ruler, right? He made lots of mistakes. So that it's a false premise. And that's what everyone thinks Bran's going to be, this amazing ruler. I don't actually believe that. In fact, I think Khaleesi would have been a better ruler than Bran. And we'll kind of get into it. So first off, the whole breaking of the wheel does not exist. Political spectrum, we're going to get into it. It doesn't work, right? So pure democracy actually doesn't work as well. People think pure democracy is. But, for example, the French Revolution, they tried pure democracy, right? Didn't work out so well. In fact, there was so much chaos, it only until Bonaparte came in, strong arm of man. He was a tyrant, or he was a king, whatever. He came in, took control, and actually there was some semblance of order restored after Bonaparte came in. A lot of people don't know about that. A lot of people died during the French Revolution. Pure democracy does not work because pure democracy pretty much leads to people doing whatever they want to do, right? You can't let people do whatever they want to do. There has to be some order. Pure democracy doesn't work. In fact, I would argue that a tyrant is more, it depends. It can be better than pure democracy. There's some historical examples of that, right? Setting up democracy. Heck, even with Iraq, right? It was better under Saddam Hussein. Sure, he was bad, and everyone knows he killed people, right? He killed people. Yes, terrible. I'm not excusing that, but when we tried to set up a democracy, America, you can't set up a democracy like that. It has to it has to start with the people, right? We tried to do it. Look what happened. ISIS filled the ranks, pure chaos. People, it just nothing was really happening, right? So there was actually more freedom under Saddam Hussein than after he fell. See, that's an example. There's many more. Again, I'm not going to get into was Saddam Hussein better or not or bad or was it better? Lots of things. But people still died after Saddam Hussein. So it wasn't some utopian paradise. And that's what Game of Thrones got wrong. So forget all the terrible writing, super rushed. I made a whole other podcast on how I thought that the whole season was totally rushed, and since season 7, and I think we all know that, and we feel it. We feel it in our bones, right? There's something off. Remember years ago when they spent many episodes on Bran walking with Jaime in the woods, like they were on the bridge and just walking, and on the boat floating down the river. It's like that took time. See, that's what we liked. This season, not so much. So, destroyed everything. That's a different topic. So, anyways, getting back, I would say, the wheel was not broken. And let me kind of give you reasons why I think Khaleesi, and it's really unfair that they didn't give her a chance. And kind of in the shots that they set up for Khaleesi before they died, it seemed like they were going for like a Palpatine sort of Star Wars Darth Vader look, or like a Nazi Hitler look. All the troops lined up, all the thing was in black. You notice the big dragon flag. It kind of reminded me of like the Palpatine flag, or even the Nazi flag. Kind of that was, I think they were kind of trying to push that. I know maybe people didn't see it, but I was like, those are, they're trying to make her, she's now this evil empress. Now, albeit, sure, she killed some people, okay? And the imp says, of all the people Cersei and Jaime killed, and my father didn't come, within half. But see, I think in these moments, do numbers matter? Now, let's see it. Let's talk this through a bit, right? So she did free all the past, right? So she freed the Unsullied, she freed Meereen, the Slaver's Bay, all those slaves freed. Dothraki people slaves, we assumed. And unfortunately, all those things were good, right? Those were fine. And just because, we were okay with all that killing because they were bad, but, whatever. So we just assume we haven't. This is why they rushed the story. We just assume all the places she freed in the past actually did well, right? They were actually, places of freedom. The slavers, the freed slaves, they, found their freedom. Things were not utopia, of course, because nothing can be utopian, but better off than it was before. So she did that. Sure, she made mistakes. We already know that. Every ruler is going to make mistakes. I don't think the issue is not making mistakes. We all know no one's perfect. Like, she learned, like, she made mistakes. She killed people she didn't want to kill. She realized, oh wait, some of the own people rebelled against her. Remember, some of the slaves, they didn't like her new ruling. That surprised her. So we get that, right? She was learning. But because they didn't share that story with us, they could have or something, we just assumed that she did free all those people, and it was good. So why couldn't anyone give her credit for this? Because she killed innocent people? Well, guys, these are the same people that killed Ned Stark, right? The people, they're not all innocent. Okay, some of them fought, they were all fathers to the soldiers or brothers and sisters. They were fighting against Khaleesi. Were they brainwashed? I don't know, but they still participated with, blacksmithing and providing weapons, food, the labor to build the walls. Do you think Cersei was building those the scorpions? I don't think so. That was the people. So I'm just saying, like, okay, she killed people. Not so great. Honestly, I think it was believable that she would do that. What happened was the story jumped too far ahead for us, and as the audience, we were trying to play catch up. So we couldn't emotionally track with Khaleesi, right? We kind of knew she was upset, but we didn't really feel it. She lost 2 sons, the dragons. Hers, like her sister, right? This is what you should go watch my other podcast. Sin brought this up, but her sister, Missandre, and then her father figure, Jorah, she lost her lover betrayed her, everything. So in that moment when everyone's telling, she was tried to be assassinated when she was a baby, tried to be killed, all these things throughout her life. And, the throne was taken from her, right? We got to get in the mindset. This is not, we can't use our current mindset, but back then mindset. It was hers, rightfully heir to the throne. And honestly, because it was hers, did she have a right to do it? To some degree, yes. Was it justified? That's a hard decision. In that moment, who knows, right? Who knows? She probably went over the top, okay? She didn't have to kill all the people, but, innocent people died on the wall. When she blew up the side of the walls, like, there were still innocent people there, just not as many died. And I think so she killed innocent people, the rest of the innocent people, and that's the reason why she became a bad queen. I don't get it. I don't buy it. I don't think that's a valid enough reason. For instance, I had this thought. So Jon Snow is supposed to be the most honorable person in the show, right? I actually disagree. His father, Ned Stark, is the most honorable. Well, he's not his father, but bastard father. Fake father is the most honorable person. Hands down, Ned Stark, way more honorable than Jon, I would say. We know Jon, we think Jon is more because we have a longer history with him, but Ned Stark more. To be able to keep that secret and ruin his own marriage for that secret, yeah. So we know that, but we don't have any problem with Ned Stark. So Ned Stark was able to free Robert Baratheon. Robert Baratheon killed the Targaryens, he wiped out everybody. Crushed everybody. We know innocents died. I'm sure he killed all the Targaryen innocent lives. Was it instead of, maybe 20,000 people, maybe 1,000 people died? Maybe Khaleesi killed 20,000 people. We don't know. They didn't give us a number. She didn't kill all million people because that's impossible. Who knows how many people died, innocents. But Ned Stark stood by Robert Baratheon, right? He thought that was the honorable thing. He didn't kill Robert Baratheon. Get it? So we're supposed to believe that Jon Snow is supposed to be the honorable man and kill Khaleesi because it's the honorable thing. Even though his father, Ned Stark, who's the most honorable person in the whole show, didn't see a problem with, he objected to killing Khaleesi early on, but he was fine with some other things. He went along with it. Right? I don't know, guys. It's just So that whole thing is just, yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's the problem. I think it's just was not believable enough that Jon Snow would kill Khaleesi. Why? Because she killed innocents. So no one could forgive her. It's funny. Everyone forgave everyone else. Tyrion forgives Cersei. Let her live. She asked Khaleesi, let Cersei live. Let my brother live. Right? Everyone else gets forgiven. Who else? Who else is going to get Sansa? I mean, well, no. Jon was, even his mistakes, even though he didn't have tons of mistakes, like they didn't present it in the same way. But all these people get forgiveness, right? Just forgive them, and it's okay, etc. But when Khaleesi does something a little off, she doesn't get forgiven. She gets killed. Doesn't make sense. Jon is like the most forgiving, right? He doesn't forgive her. I don't buy it. I think it's terrible writing. Terrible. But getting on to Khaleesi and her being actually a good ruler. So, sure, we see that she's going to go liberate the rest of the world. This is actually, people would say, oh, she's going to be a tyrant. But we actually don't know what her ruling style is, right? We only assume that it's actually pretty good. My assumption is we left Meereen, we left Slaver's Bay, all that stuff. Sure, she had some mix-ups, but it was good, right? Things were free. So she actually did free people, right? So we don't know if she would actually been a bad ruler. She just wanted to go free other places, take down other kingdoms. And honestly, is that wrong? I mean, we liked it before in Meereen, right? We were going to like it with King's Landing, right? We wanted Cersei to die. The only difference was some more innocents died. I mean, who knows how many? Okay, yes, innocents died. I get it. But in that mindset, in that world, okay, so for instance, what if, World War II, the German people, were they all innocent? Did innocents die? If we had to kill 50,000 innocent people to take down Germany, is that fine? Or are we just like, well, too many innocents, we won't do that. We'll just kind of let Germany do their own thing. Hitler can do it. It's okay. And, no, it just doesn't make sense. Look, it doesn't make sense. You look at other, it's for the great. I guess that's the moral dilemma everyone faces. For the greater good, would you do that? Would innocents die? For instance, a lot of people with the atom bomb in Hiroshima. So people say, that was, how could they do that? But there were estimates that millions of, if Americans went into Japan, forces into Japan, the Japanese, those innocents, they were taught to fight to the death, right? No matter what. There were estimates that maybe, a couple million U.S. soldiers would have died if we had gone onshore into Japan and fought. A couple million soldiers. Estimates, of course. And just knowing how the Japanese were and kind of their orders, etc. A couple million versus, I think 150,000 died. Is that correct, from the 2 atom bombs? Innocents, people. So, sure, but they weren't always innocent. They're not innocent because they provided, they were soldiers. Why? They were, made weapons, clothes, food for the troops. That's a different topic. I'm just saying, so 150,000 died, saved millions of lives, ended a war, ended, the regime of Japan. So is this the same thing with Khaleesi? Right? She killed some innocents, but we don't know what her reign would have looked like. I believe it would have been better than Bran. First of all, Khaleesi's a better leader. She's more loved. Now, although she didn't feel it, and the King's Landing people didn't like her that much, of course, or the Westeros. Some of the Westeros people did, though. We had Theon's sister. She liked him, There were Sansa, not so much. But then again, I think they could have made peace because Jon would have been there, by her side, making peace, and there wouldn't have been blood feuds or anything like that. I don't believe that. The Dornish people liked her, and I'm probably forgetting some other people, but I think through time, people would have liked her. She would have, and not that you have to be liked to be a good ruler, but she could have, she wasn't totally alone, And she knew how to rule. She had already learned how to rule through her mistakes in Slaver's Bay, Marine, all that stuff. She had learned along the way. Sure, she had made some more mistakes, but freed a lot of people too. Bran, who has he led? He has knowledge. We've already agreed. Just because you have knowledge doesn't make you a good leader. Look at if you watch Band of Brothers, right? I know it's an example, but that the captain, he had a lot of knowledge. We already know he had a lot of knowledge, right? He wasn't a good leader. A lot of knowledge. We know this. This is common sense. You can have a lot of knowledge. You can have, sure, knowledge helps, but Bran, no experience in leading. Okay, when he was a little boy, when he was like 10, right? He and Master Aemon, was that his name? Or, they were up there in the north. He was the new lord. He had a couple things. Okay, that was his experience as a 10-year-old or something. Doesn't count, worth much of anything. Then he, became the three-eyed raven, he has information now, but he's like he's just not a lead. I don't think he would be a good leader, but they're presenting it. He's going to be the savior of all Westeros. Everyone's going to love him. He's going to be so just and so amazing because he has all this knowledge. I'm not going to buy it. He's not a warrior, right? We just assume that no other countries or no other lords are going to try to take over King's Landing. So for all 6 seasons, like all the lords want rule, they want their either independence or they want to rule by themselves or even take over the kingship, the Game of Thrones. So now that Bran's on the throne, all those lords are just going to bow down before him and think they're better or not as good as Bran. And, why not just conquer? Why not take the throne back? Gendry, he could do it. He's a Baratheon. He's a fighter. It's just, as you see, so many cracks. But again, going back to breaking the wheel, no wheel was broken. That's my summarization. That's my belief. No wheel was broken. And we see at the very end, this is how I'll conclude with this. When Tyrion, he's in his little chamber. He didn't want to be the hand of the king, blah, 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 and then became the hand, blah, blah. And his counsel is Bran. What's his name? Bran? Yeah. Who's an idiot, who's terrible. Like, no honor, a sellsword. Bran. We have, Sam. Yes, we do love Sam. Wise Sam. But the others, Brienne of Tarth. I don't know. I guess she's the Kingsguard. I guess I think that's our assumption. They need a new coin. And they were starting to squabble, right? We need ships. Okay. We do like, what's his name? The ship guy. Forget him. But, okay. They needed ships. And then, Bronn was like, we need brothels. And they were fighting back and forth. Well, ships are more important. We need food. We need it. Like, the wheel was not broken, right? They were doing the exact same things as we saw before. And it's supposed to be better now. One, we know the imp, is he going to stop going to the brothels, drinking all the time, living in his lordly castle? That's not really, you see what I'm saying? No wheel was broken. No wheel was broken. The same old, it was cracked. The wheel was cracked. Tyrion was just like Tywin, just a little smarter, not as ruthless, not as, kill your enemies, but still, we're better. We're the lords. The peasants still on here. As long as they have food, they might be happy. Keep them dumb, keep them stupid, they'll follow whatever. Khaleesi, sure, killed people, but she wanted to break the wheel completely. And to do that, maybe some innocents died. She made a mistake. But she broke the wheel in Marine. No Slaver's Bay. Slaves free. And she wanted to do that in all the other countries out there. All the other lords or all the other, the people enslaving people wanted to break it. Do you think Bran's going to go do that? So that means they're going to still have slavers over there, all the other places. Nothing's really going to change. Nothing's really going to change maybe in Westeros. You're going to still have peasants serving the lords, right? No wheel was broken. It was cracked. That's my summarization. We could get into a lot more, but I want to just kind of brief that. If you like it, please subscribe, please share. Maybe comment. Come on, give me some thoughts, feedback, And maybe I'll do another series on this. But those are thoughts for today. And hopefully you enjoy. Please subscribe. As I already said, this is life, just sharing life stories. If you have a story to share or know somebody, something very interesting, have them contact me. I got the contact info below. If you're another Instagram person, YouTuber, influencer, or just a regular person, just a person, ordinary person, I would love to share your story. And thanks again. We'll see you next time. Go break the wheel.